remove these main springs from the top of the shoes here by utilizing this cam and backing the spring off of the pin. Sometimes you do have a little bit of problem, particularly with a tool that's been used as much as this one has, actually removing that off of that spring brace here. So we'll get another tool to help us do that. A small pair of side cutters will help you get that off of there with no problem. Because these are under a pretty tremendous amount of tension, it is a little difficult to get those off sometimes. But with persistence, you can do that. Well, it's like that. Good. Yeah. There we go. Just like that. Now we utilize the other spring tool to take the coil springs off of the pins. This pin or nail goes through the backing plate. So what you'll have to do is hold this nail back here, do a small quarter turn, half turn, and that will allow that spring to come off of the shoe. And here is a look at the nail. Have a like one on this side right here. Quarter to half turn brings that right off. And then that nail. Now it's simply just coming over the top stud and bringing the shoes off in one unit right here. You'll see that the parking brake cable bracket is attached to the secondary shoe. It's just clipped into the rear shoe. Then you have the shoes as an assembly off. Here's the star wheel and the adjuster, and that shows you how this ratcheting action takes this screw out and takes up the slack between the drum and the brake shoes. This hardware will be cleaned up. We'll use what we can reuse, but we'll probably go back with some new hardware as well as new brake shoes. Another specialized tool that you will need to perform most brake jobs is what's called a line wrench. Now what this does is it captures the fitting of any of the steel lines or rubber lines that you have on the vehicle and allows this wrench to pass over the line and get good purchase on the wrench lands of the line or the rubber line fitting or whatever, so you don't round it off and create a lot of other issues for yourself. So we'll loosen the brake line. And I'll, now that I've got it loose, I'll move the camera and get a good picture of that for you. Okay, we're getting ready to put the shoe set together, and I wanted to show you the difference between a primary shoe and a secondary shoe. The primary shoe that faces the front of the vehicle is always the shorter of the two shoes in the set. So we're gonna lay our shoes out on the bench here like this. In the way that they're gonna go on the car, we have the secondary shoe on the right-hand side, the primary shoe on the left-hand side. This will be facing the front of the car, so this will be the driver's side setup. We'll place the star wheel adjuster. This is the adjuster that I was speaking of that works with the parking brake, or the slack adjuster. And we're gonna place it in the bottom of the shoe set here. We're gonna make sure that you use a spring that has an offset that allows the spring to be out of the way of the star adjuster so that it can turn. So to get this back in between the two shoes without struggling with it, we're gonna hook the spring together. Cross over the shoes. Make sure they're engaged in the bottom of the shoe in the slot, and bring the shoes back together like so. Now the adjuster mechanism goes on the secondary shoe side. And this is our spring retainer. These are the shoe retainers with the half-turn cups on them that we took off earlier. We're putting new springs and new cups, one for each side. This spring right here will go between the slack adjuster mechanism and the base of the shoe, so it has spring tension on it to work against this spring lever up here. We'll also match up these primary and secondary shoe springs when we get it back on the vehicle to secure them in place. All right, we've got the new wheel cylinder mounted on here. We're getting ready to mount our shoe set up on the backing plate. We've replaced our parking brake lever, attached it to the parking brake cable, and we're gonna set the shoe set up on the backing plate as a complete unit right now. We'll engage the parking brake lever in the top. We'll just walk the shoes around the axle flange and bring it back up here and let the shoes just come in contact with the wheel cylinder pins. Now we'll get that hung there and we'll start putting the other pieces in place for it. We got a shoe stabilizer bar that goes in between the top of the shoes. We're gonna work it in behind the axle flange, and it's gonna engage into two separate notches in the shoes itself. It has one spring on one side, and then it just floats on the opposite side, like so. Sometimes you'll have a little residual fuel or brake fluid pressure on the wheel cylinder that you'll have to overcome to keep the shoes up tight against the drum or the backing plate. But that just a little hand pressure will get that back in there. Now we'll put the nails through the backing plate. And proceed to mount the shoes on the backing plate. We will need our spring tool once again. These are the nails. Bring those through the backing plate into the shoe, like so. And the same here. We'll put a base over the nail and into the shoe. And then a new quarter turn cup and a new spring. We match these springs up from the set that we took off before. And we got that side. Now we'll get the other side. Prior to putting the other side in, however, we'll have to put the slack adjuster lever in, so that will snap into this hole here. Work the nail back through the shoe. Well, once I don't have enough hands.
What do you need?
Just to get it all together and hold my mouth right. It's a little bit of a balancing act to get everything sort of in its place. But once it's there, it's there. All right, crew, we're gonna wrap this up. We've got the new hardware, the new shoes mounted on the backing plate here. We're going to test fit the drum, and we'll take the brake spoon that we used earlier and we'll use the slack adjuster and get some good contact with the shoes. We'll get the other side put back together, and then we'll bleed the brakes with some new brake fluid, and we'll be back on the road with Old Blueberry.
Woo woo.
Don't forget, reach out to us at themechanicsville@gmail.com if you have any questions or want to shoot a message to us. Always like and subscribe the YouTube channel. themechanics.com goes straight to the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and share. See ya.